Okay, good evening, everybody. Good evening.
Are we starting?
Yeah, we're starting. It is 7:02 p.m. and we've got a sign-in sheet. Please sign in if you haven't signed in. I recognize a lot of faces, most faces actually. Welcome, everybody. I'm Art Crumry. I think I know most of you, if not, I think I know all of you.
Hi, Art.
Hello. Hello. So I don't need introductions, but I do want to tell you that, Annie, you probably got from the agenda, that the first order of business is to give Judy McIntyre an honorary life membership. So we've prepared a membership card, a life membership card for Judy, and we're going to present this to her. She may be on Zoom. I don't see her though. So we're recording this. I'm going to turn down the volume a little bit. I got a little feedback here. I'm both the sound guy and the president, so you have to excuse me while I do dual roles, but I just turned down the volume. So we are recording this for Judy's sake as well as for posterity. So Judy will get an honorary life membership for her service. And what I'm going to do is review the last year and try to highlight some of the activities that we've done. It has been a very rich year. And we've had a resurgence of activities that we've not done for a couple of years, and you'll see that as we go through this. But before we get into activities that we haven't done, we had some outstanding activities starting in May of last year with a bridal gown exhibit called Diamonds and Lace, which garnered us some publicity on WGN. I'm going to play just a little bit of that on WGN, and if we run out of time later, running out of time meaning as the ballot counters count the ballots, I'm told that that could take as much as an hour. So I'm prepared to play a little bit of video if we need to make some time. And Bill's going to also give a financial report. So Bill, that can take 2 hours, right? I'm just
After 10 minutes, I'll put you to sleep.
So the first thing that occurred, so our fiscal year kind of sort of officially starts, our calendar year is our fiscal year officially. However, by virtue of our elections, it's kind of like May to May. And so May of last year, we had an election. May, we're here having election years today. So in May of last year, we had this on WGN.
Out Diamonds and Lace, a new exhibition from the Norwood Park Historical Society. They are housed inside the Noble Seymour Crippen House, which is the oldest house in Chicago. I'm here with Judy McIntyre. Good morning, Judy.
Hi, Emma.
You know what I love? How involved the members of the Historical Society are, that they put together this exhibition with their own wedding gowns.
That's the amazing thing, is that our society is composed of all members and volunteers. We don't have any paid staff. So all the work that you see here is done by volunteers. And we had two wonderful volunteers, Norman Carrier-Sands and Diane Otto. They're members, and they're also designers.
So they
do
help you
window
put it
designing.
together.
Yes, and with Laura's help, they did everything.
And what I love is that everyone preserved their wedding gowns so well, but what is most endearing and sweet is that you have this wedding gown from 1969, and let me move you this way so that then Mary can see the wedding picture next to it of the couple. They married July 12th of 1969. And of course, the designers knew that any good exhibition needs a step and repeat for the Instagram.
Yes.
Right? When can people come check out the exhibition?
Well, they have to come here on Saturdays from 12 to 4. Our exhibit will be open. It is a free exhibit. We just ask that people perhaps give us a $5 donation. And the museum upstairs is open, and the docents will be there giving tours free every Saturday.
Okay.
So that got us some incredible publicity. And the entire feature on WGN was probably 25 minutes long. I could play the whole thing, but I'm not going to, because we have more to show you, because it was a very, very rich year.
Okay, we'd like to get started. Thank you all very, very much for coming out tonight. We are more than happy, elated to have such a notable.
So this, Ray Hanania was one of the many speakers that we had. This is just an example of one of the speakers. I'm going to go back there and show Judy's introduction of Ray.
Okay, we'd like to get started. Thank you all very, very much for coming out tonight. We are more than happy, elated to have such a notable speaker tonight. Ray Hanania has a really great biography. He has been nominated for a Pulitzer Prize by the Sun-Times when he was writing his reports for them. He is a Chicagoan. He was born in Chicago. His mom was born in Bethlehem. His dad is born in Jerusalem. His dad served in the OSS, which is now called the CIA. Ray himself is a United States Air Force veteran in Vietnam, although, what were you, 12? 12, okay. He was 12. In 1980, he started at WLS, and he is still an on-air personality now. Not necessarily on WLS, just different stations that carry him. He has been syndicated across the country, though. Syndicated across the country. He's published a newspaper. He's been a political spokesperson. In 1992, he formed Urban Strategies Group, which is a public relations firm and marketing. And the town of Cicero has long been one of his clients. I met Ray when I was working at the city, and he was our consultant for projects. So he continues today to write political columns. The one thing that you must understand that I have always embraced is that Ray rejects extremism, he embraces peace, and he opposes violence. While he does all of that, he's also a stand-up comic. So he's been at Zany's Comedy Club 35 times, and he's done his comedy club. Okay, we'd like to get started.
So this is just an example of how we really raise the bar of our speakers. And this is in thanks to Laura and Rich and Judy's contacts. I mean, it was an amazing year for the quality of speakers that we had. And Ray is an example. And then, without missing a beat, we were invited, we being Judy and I, were invited back to WGN. And this is what we were on stage on WGN, and this is what we were able to promote.
Now, with Tanya Francisco and Amy Rutledge, this is Daytime Chicago.
I love this movie too.
Yeah.
The kids don't get it anymore. It's
Yeah,
so
I
good.
know.
Hey, welcome to Daytime Chicago, everybody. It is our neighborhood special today. We are taking a deep dive into Norwood Park, number 10 of Chicago's 77 community areas, and a very historical area in Chicago. So Norwood Park goes as far north as West Albion, as far south in some parts as West Gunnison Street. It's bound to the west by North Canfield and to the east by Austin and Nagel Avenues. It has many notable buildings. Taft High School served as the inspiration for the musical Grease. And Chicago's oldest building in existence sits on North Newark Avenue in Norwood Park.
Yeah, it was built in 1866. The Noble Seymour Crippen House today serves as the Norwood Park Historical Society and Museum. In a little bit, we're going to be talking with the leaders of the Norwood Park Historical Society to find out more about this community.
Norwood Park is also home to some great
While Norwood Park is home to some amazing restaurants, stores, and more, it is also home to the oldest house in Chicago.
Judith McIntyre and Arthur Crumry from the Norwood Park Historical Society join us now with more. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, so we were talking about this is the oldest house in Chicago. It's on 1.5 acres. That is a huge piece of property for our city.
It is a very big piece of property, and the house is the oldest house in Chicago, and we get no government funding. It's all done through volunteers. We have no employees.
Wow.
And the organization itself is 51 years old.
Wow.
That is amazing. Well, of course, with some of the music we've been playing throughout the morning here, we associate Norwood Park with Taft High School and Taft.
I'm going to stop it here because Laura knows what's coming next. So Judy and I both got it wrong. We got it wrong. So the question was, who is the author of Grease? And we both had a brain fart. I'll play it.
Taft High School is associated with the musical Grease.
Yes.
Yes. Talk a little bit more about the playwright for Grease. Went to Taft High School?
Went to Taft High School.
Is that what I
Yes,
understand?
Yes. Art can do that.
Yes. He was a graduate of Taft High School, and his name is, but he,
He was a Taft graduate.
Yes, yes.
yes.
And so you guys at the house, it's still a functioning, I don't want to say home because nobody lives there, but it's almost like a museum,
It is a
correct?
museum.
It is a museum.
It is
Yeah,
very
sure.
much a
Okay.
museum, yes.
The
We
second
recovered.
floor has a museum.
Okay.
And we have different exhibits. Now, the exhibit that just finished is the bridal exhibit.
Okay.
And that was put together by design people who are volunteers, who also are professional designers. And so it was so well received from the community. And we had over 200 visitors.
pretty.
Those dresses were, it was just beautiful. One of our members, Laura Banish, who's in that, it was her idea. And she took it from the very beginning of an iota of an idea and did it to fruition. And people just loved it. Children would come in and they'd see their grandmother's dresses. So that was lovely.
Let's talk about the history of the neighborhood. You said that the house right now where the Historical Society sits was built on a ridge.
Yes.
Tell us about the significance of that.
Well, Mark Noble was a farmer, and he found that the ridge was above the swamp, and so he was able to farm fertile land up on the ridge. And when our book comes out, it'll tell the story in great detail in November.
Okay, so what the book is just about the detail or the history of Norwood Park.
The
Okay.
history of Norwood
Norwood
Park.
Park.
Wow.
And when he built the house, it was only 875 square feet. And as you can see from these photos, the house itself was expanded by the next person who bought it, who was on the Board of Trade and who was one of the developers of Norwood Park. And they developed the 600 acres into all these different home sites.
And the house, was it constructed that well, or was it just well taken care of that it's been able to survive this long?
What a good question, because we'd like to think we're good stewards,
both, a little
but
both.
I'm not sure about that one.
It was never a log cabin. It was built by hewn logs from a sawmill on the Des Plaines River called the Nobel Bickerdike Sawmill, the family of Mark Noble. So it was never a log cabin.
Okay, and so you guys are hosting more events. You've got the yard sale coming up. I know you brought
Oh,
some
yes, we
vase.
brought this little, can I pick it up?
Oh, just if you leave right there, you can get a
all right.
shot of it. Yeah, so we can see
Okay.
what's from. What is this from?
This is a piece of bleak china that someone has donated to us.
Got
It's part of our yard sale. Last year we had 500 people come to the yard sale and a total revenue to us of $10,000, which is a huge amount of money. So you can imagine there's a picture of it. Thousands and thousands of items come in and we're sorting items and doing all this setup for weeks. But it's such a wonderful thing for the community. It brings in people from all over the city who would not know our museum existed, and now they're aware that here's the Norwood Park Historical Society, which is just great.
That is awesome. But you do a number of events throughout the year, right?
Oh yes, we rely solely on our events for our stream of revenue. We have a historic house walk that's coming up in July. We're celebrating the 150th birthday of July, and we have a garden walk in July. And in the historic house, we have 9 different houses that have histories, and one of the houses, the history is sad, but it's very interesting. They lost 2 of their children in the Iroquois fire.
Oh, yeah.
And then a few years later, the mom and the daughter went on a voyage, and they were on the Titanic.
Oh my goodness.
They were survivors.
Wow, really?
Oh,
really?
they survived.
Wow.
Okay.
It's
Oh,
not
okay.
such a sad story.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait a minute.
Oh, right, you were both starting to look.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll get on with the rest of the PowerPoint here. So speaking of the yard sale, that was the yard sale that yielded $6,000. And the house walk was in collaboration with the Roden Library. And we have a new collaboration with the Roden Library. Laura just sent me this, which is that there now? Okay, so that is a new picture that shows our up-and-coming exhibit about the kitchen, or the clock exhibit, right? You want to say something about that?
Well, I can speak up. Okay, we're going to have a clock exhibit. If anybody has clocks that they would like to donate, loan to us, we're going to do this for 2 months in the museum and in the meeting room. And it's being put on by Norman and also Diana, and then along with me helping, and anyone else that would like to help, we definitely need it. But it can be working clocks or clocks that aren't working. It can be watches, it could be anything that tells time, and it's going to be all pushed out time. Okay, thank you.
So the garden walk came back this past year too, and it was very successful. I walked the entire garden walk thanks to Gary and Jim. We won't have it this year, but I understand that Gary and Jim are going to do it next year, right? So, and it was just amazing. I mean, I was flabbergasted. So that's Gary and Jim right there with Michelle, our Michelle, rental coordinator. And let's see, oh, in the upper left-hand corner, you may not know this, but there's a chicken coop in Norwood Park.
I see it.
And it's not far from here. It's only a block away. What's that?
There's more than one.
Oh yeah? Where's the other one?
Annie Anton has one, and then the house on the, across from the park has one.
Really?
And then I think across the street, next to Mike Emerson, they used to have one, I don't know if it's there. Yeah.
Okay. So the garden, so we need to get more chicken coops on the garden walk. The garden walk was beautiful. I mean, it was, I was just amazed. And I took all these pictures and more. Another thing that happened this summer, which was very nice, was we had 2 collaborations with Taft High School. Taft conducted a management retreat here, a leadership retreat here, on 2 successive Tuesdays, and they really got off on this place. They used the 3rd room upstairs as a breakout room. They wanted 4 breakout rooms. So the Taft principal was here, Ryan Glowitz, a high energy guy, and the assistant principal and all their leadership was here for 2 successive Tuesdays. And then they also were very involved in purchasing our books. So we gave discounts to the Taft Alumni Association. I think, Rich, you got us connected with that. So we were able to really solidify our relationship with Taft High School thanks to the Taft Alumni Association. And then, in anticipation of the launch of our book, which I'm getting to in a second, the museum committee created an exhibit of 150 years of Norwood Park. And it still parts of it are upstairs in the 3rd floor, right? The whole thing? Okay, thanks, Carmen. So it's a great exhibit, and it's worth going through very, very carefully. 150 years of Norwood Park. In September, we had a unique Stems and Signs with a folk music artist named Wayne Faust, who was just a very good entertainer. It was a very well attended Stems and Signs with 118 guests, one of our biggest fundraisers, and it was just a lot of fun. It was a hot day. It was a hot summer, in fact. The yard sale was a hot day, as many of you remember, and Stems and Steins was hot. And I remember I brought up this little fan for Wayne. I said, Wayne, I've got a fan for you. I'm a fan. So, and then also in September, we had a Boy Scout troop, volunteers, who helped clean up the yard. That was a nice volunteer activity. In October, we had a unique new festival called Halloween, and that raised $1,800. That was not budgeted for. That was unanticipated revenue. That was just a lot of fun, thanks to Norman and his crew. And then the book. The book was sold out. I mean, it just sold out very, very quickly. And give Judy some credit for pushing the book, but Carmen, of course, deserves a tremendous credit for just bringing it to the finish line. And it will shortly be on Amazon as an ebook. And I've read portions of the book. It's just very, very illuminating. And it was just a tremendous success. I had no idea that it would sell out as fast as it did. What else can I say? Except that it won an award. It won the Best of Illinois History Award. And Rich, you were there.
Yes. The luncheon was held in Springfield. It's the Illinois State Historical Society. They have an annual awards luncheon. And I serve on the board, and I was pleased to join Sue and Carmen at the luncheon. And we were recognized for superior achievement. A number of books written by Illinois authors, and also historical societies were represented. And I've encouraged Sue to perhaps extract from the book, and they will publish an article about the society and the house in particular for Illinois Heritage Magazine if she's interested in doing that.
Oh, good.
It's a magazine of the society, and it's distributed in libraries all across the state and to members as well.
Wonderful.
So I've encouraged Sue to do that, and I think she likely will.
Wonderful. Carmen, do you have any comments?
Pardon me?
I would ask Carmen if you have any comments.
No, I mean, it was great. Rich was there, and Rich asked about the article.
Good. This is such an incredible year. I mean, how often do we publish a book? And how many years was this book in the making?
It started in 2009. I worked on it for 5 years, but.
I think it started much earlier than that, probably in the 1990s, early 90s.
Oh, within London, yes, they're writing.
Yeah. So, not talk about money. Our fundraiser last year was to build a new fence, and we got 2/3 of the way there. So the fence is pretty much done. We've got a little bit more to do on this side, but it looks so much better than it did before. Now, we're going to take a pause on the fence this year, and our annual appeal will be for a much-needed new roof. Now, that's not sexy. I can't think of a better word, but it's so necessary. This roof is 25 years old. It was put on the building when it was renovated in 2000. Do the math, that's 25 years. Fortunately, it's not leaking, but if you look at it, and some people said, do a drone shot. Well, I've done drone shots of it, but you don't need to do a drone shot. You can just look at the roof from ground level, and you can see that it's beating. The roof shows its age, and it needs to be replaced. We don't want to wait until it starts leaking. So the focus of our annual appeal will be mailed shortly, and it will be to get a new roof. 2 years ago, we got some quotes, and it was $18,000 to $20,000. It's going to be a little bit more. We're going to do it right. We're going to tear off the old material, and we're going to inspect the wood that's there, make sure that it's intact, do any repairs that are necessary, and put a new roof on. Those are the specifications. And so it's not going to be cheap, but we're going to do it right, because we want to make sure that we preserve this house for posterity. So that'll be the focus of our annual appeal. And then we'll get back to the fence, and then we'll get back to the, I'm normally not directionally challenged, but that corner is the northwest. I always make fun of my daughter, who is, but I'm not usually directed. So that's northwest, right? The northwest corner has been the focus of making this property more attractive, and we'll get back to that. We have a design, we'll get back to it, but we got to get past the pure necessities. The fence was falling down, the roof needs to be replaced, then we'll get back to the northwest corner.
Just think of northwest side.
Northwest side. Thank you. In November, we had another fundraising activity that was not on our budget. It was very successful. It was so much fun. It was Cookies with Mrs. Claus. And I'm going to take a pause here to thank Sue Wiskowski for, because in making these slides, and I told my wife, my wife said, how much time did you spend making these slides? I said, well, I didn't, because I was able to hijack some of the collages that Sue put together for the newsletter. So all I did is I copied and pasted it, because Sue does such a great job with the newsletter. And I think Sue is on Zoom. Thank you, Sue. And then in December and January, we had another new special event, Holidays with Little Women. And that, I was a substitute docent at least once, maybe twice, and I was surprised how the guys, I'm going to be at the risk of being sexist here, how some of the guys were interested in Little Women. I mean, I confess that I wasn't that much of a fan, but I walked through with some of the visitors, and they were fascinated with the legends. And then we had another fundraiser, St. Valentine's. What's that? St. Valentine's Cookies and Sweet Shops. That raised another $16.70. The tea party was another great success. And people always ask for more tea parties. And then Taft High School came back again in our collaboration with Taft, and we hosted their senior art exhibit, April 17th to May 17th, and it was, again, a great collaboration. It's really nice to be able to work so closely with our neighboring high school. The museum has acquired 2 new artifacts, and Carmen, maybe you can help me with this, because is that the right chest?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. I want to make sure, because I erroneously thought it was the other thing. And then the pictures in this room are back, and they now have captions, and there's a legend that you can pick up on the entryway, and you can understand what all the pictures are. They're all numbered, and there's all legends. And that's, are they the same as before, or did you renumber them?
No, no, the numbers are the same, they're correct on the caption.
I see.
But these are all the pictures that are put in the
I see. But then the big pictures are they also numbered?
Yes, on the left one.
Okay. And then finally, and these dates are in we're gonna hand these out, but these are the dates that are coming up. We're planning a vintage kitchen exhibit, and then the next Wednesday, Greg Borzo was talking, and Rich, you're gonna say a little more about the coming speakers, right? Okay, I'll leave you with it. And then the clock exhibit, Laura talked a little bit about that. The birthday party is on July 26th. Laura, can you say anything more about that? I'll read it to you, it's a little bit.
Wienermobile's coming, hot dogs and chips, and we're having the indoor sale instead of the outdoor sale. I think the top item though is the Memorial Day parade.
Oh, yes, of course, I'm sorry.
That's, yeah.
Matt, of course.
Yeah.
So
The float is reserved. I have no idea yet what the float number will be. The organizer said he would get back to me by tomorrow. So as soon as I hear, I'll let, should I let you know, Art?
Yeah, we'll send out a special email.
That I'm supposed to know by tomorrow. And if nobody shows up and it's not raining, I will be there myself.
I will be there.
Okay.
The weather's looking better.
It does. It looks like this should be a good.
Weather's looking better.
So far.
Monday, right?
So then October 4th, the Halloween pancake breakfast with Mrs. Claus is November 22nd. We're talking about a pear tree holiday cafe, potentially on December 6th. More to come, and then comfort food baking master's classes to be determined. So that's our calendar. The calendar will be developed as we advance in the year. So that's all I have to say. Now I'm going to hand it over to Rich to talk about programs, and then we're going to talk about finances. Okay. Here you go. Make sure this works. Yeah.
Thanks, Art, and good evening, everyone. Nice to be back here. My name is Rich Lindberg, and I've been a longtime member. I assist with planning some of the speaker programs. Oh, getting a little feedback here. And about a year and a half ago, I agreed to work with Laura, who has been doing so many wonderful things in terms of planning events, to kind of create a speakers bureau where we can invite informed people from Chicago who have particular knowledge and expertise in various fields. I'm a past president of the Society of Midland Authors, so I have a rich body of people that I can call upon to give talks. Local authors from Chicago and outside are always eager to talk to membership societies, and we formalized the speaker series, right, Laura? And I just wanted to tell you about some of the people that we've had for our monthly meetings. Art, of course, mentioned Ray Hanania, but we also had his colleague Dick Simpson, former alderman of Chicago, who had represented the 44th Ward in the late 1960s. He was involved in council wars of the 1980s, and notable political figure who teaches political science at the University of Illinois, and he talked about his career. I invited Kathy Mead, who is a genealogist who has written several books and is renowned across the United States. She appears and gives lectures on family genealogy, historical genealogy, and she gave a very good talk in September. Marlene Tard Brill is a children's and young person's author, and she just came out with a book on the life of Jane Addams. I've known Marlene for a long time, and she came and gave a very nice talk. I think we had a very good turnout for that. Recently, we had Jim Edstrom, who gave us a lecture on the statehood of Illinois in the early years, how Illinois came to be, first as a territory and then as a state brought into the Union in 1818. Last year, we had Bill Tyre, who was the executive director of Glessner House, and he gave us a nice historical talk on the community of Pullman and the historic preservation and rehabilitation that's been going on down there. And then through Laura, we had Ursula Bielski, the ghost hunter, and I believe we're going to have her again, Laura, is that correct? Yes, she agreed later this year. Now, upcoming, we have John Holden, the past president of the Edgewater Historical Society. I've known him for many years, and he's going to give a talk on the history of the Edgewater Beach Hotel, that notable landmark that was unfortunately torn down in 1967. Coming up in June, we have Greg Borzo, who is a noted Chicago author who has written 4 or 5 books, and he's going to be talking about one of his books, Chicago's Great Fountains. I'm going to be doing a program on the Chicago fire in September, and it's going to be a PowerPoint history of the fire and its consequences. I've also invited a Chicago novelist named Greg Takis, who I made pleasure of his acquaintance. He's a South Sider, and he's written a novel about the Chicago fire, and it's very compelling. He writes historical mysteries, and I thought his work would be very interesting. So I want to have him speak a little briefly about the books he's done, and he'll be with us in September. And I think, are we having Leslie Goddard, Laura? No? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Now, with all that said, I also wanted to mention something to everybody here about the Taft Alumni Association. We've forged an alliance with TAA, and Paulette Semadas is the president of the Taft Alumni Association. And before Judy stepped down as president, Judy and I briefly discussed the possibility of having a showing of Grease, an outdoor event, possibly on our property here. We thought that we were kind of scoping this out a little bit. And my thought was that it could be kind of like a picnic in the park kind of thing. Now, it would involve coordination with the aldermen. We would likely have to come up with a sizable screen and the equipment to do this. Paulette indicated she would be willing to ask Jim Jacobs if he would attend, perhaps give a little talk about Taft High School. He was a class of 1960, and about the making of the play when it was originally held on Kingston Mines Theater. It started in 1974, and they actually had an old jalopy on the stage in the theater that they actually started up, and old gas fumes were going all over the theater, and it went from there to Hollywood. Now, Paulette and I have kicked this around, and I had told her I was going to bring it up tonight. The suggestion being that we have a joint committee to plan this, 2 members of the TAA and 2 members of the Norwood Park Historical Society. Now, they are on board with this, but I wanted to bring it up to the board here tonight and the members to see if there's consensus on doing something like this. Logistically, it's a big job. But I think it could bring us a tremendous amount of publicity. We could have a rain night in the event that there's inclement weather. We could have a fallback night to schedule it again. When we were, Carmine, when we were talking about this at the restaurant in Springfield, and Jim made the suggestion that we rent a hall
somewhere in Chicago and do it. Well, that's okay, I think, but I think the uniqueness is we want to keep this a Norwood Park event. And the Athenaeum near Clark Street near Wrigley Field was one suggestion, but I mean, we could have the whole community come out on the lawn, you know, spread out a blanket, bring their own food, and to raise money, I mean, we could charge maybe an admission fee if everyone wants to do that, or sell DVDs, which I think would be something that Jim Jacobs would appreciate, and he could sign copies of the DVD and sell them to people who were interested. This would bring to not only us and TAA, but also to the community on the Northwest side, I think would be a tremendous kind of thing, a great publicity event that would really bring the community together and draw us into particular focus. And we can work on media contacts. We could go back to the morning programs, WGN, WLS, and so on, and see if they would publicize it. And you know, we both agreed, can't do it this year, everything's on the plate, but we were thinking midsummer next year, definitely in the warm months, where the only fear would be the rain. So I'm bringing this up formally tonight, you know, to get to see if everybody is on board with this, or, you know, if you indeed want to appoint 2 members to be on a committee to work with TAA to see if we can make this happen. So I'll throw that out there, and you guys can have a discussion about that at some future point. So with that said, I don't think I missed any other event. Have I, Laura? Have we? Okay. Oh, yes, the Alderman would be coming in October. Right, right. So, okay, Art, thank you so much.
Okay, turn it to Bill.